What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out US Navy video shows encounter with Chinese warship. This happened last year. It got sent to me because I put that video out yesterday and I was talking about how we know through history what happens if you mess with US ships. We know that it's bad. And so we're going to watch this video. I've got a lot to say about it. Before we get started, if you haven't already, check out Chug, my new sponsor, my new channel sponsor. I've got another one here behind me. These things are selling like crazy. Really high quality. Made here in Britain by a small business. Check it out if you haven't already. 10% off, link down below. Also down below, you will see a link to the original video. And you will also see my business, Morale. If you haven't checked out Morale, if you love the outdoors, you're going to want to check it out. Morale, linked down below. Okay. This is the second time we've watched something like this. This happened last year. Earlier last year as well, earlier before this happened, there was also that incident where the Chinese aircraft came really close to the US aircraft as well. If you remember, I did a video on that a while back. And it's showing unnecessary aggression. Now, we've got China who's saying, look, you're close to us and we're going to be around the area. You're close to us, right? And so we're going to keep an eye on what you're doing. And then the US is like, but we're conducting exercises with people who are part of an alliance with us. In this case, it was Taiwan, right? And so they're around Taiwan. I'm pretty sure this was some sort of exercise with Canada. Let's watch the video. There's obviously two. Oh my God, look how close that is. Look how close that is. The US Navy has released a video of one of its vessels nearly colliding with a Chinese warship in the Taiwan Strait. That is close. The incident occurred on 3rd of June in the US, saying its destroyer was forced to slow down to avoid a collision. The destroyer, USS Chung-Hoon, was conducting a joint exercise in the strait with Canadian frigate HMCS Montreal. It's a destroyer. This would be destroyed if it needed to be, if the US wanted it to be. It's like, do you know when you know that guy that always talks about how tough they are? And you just know for a fact that there's them type of people that talk about it a lot. They're not really that tough. That's the type of thing we're dealing with here. We know that China would get absolutely destroyed by the US, right? And they're trying to act tough, they're trying to intimidate, and it's not. It's just dangerous and silly, because if it did collide, the US would be forced to destroy it because it's in the international waters, right? And then China would be like, oh my God, the US has been blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, this thing, look how close this thing was. It was going to T-bone it until the US slowed down. Unbelievable. Look how close that is. This was footage from the HMCS Montreal. Wow. 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 That is some pretty damning footage, that is. There's no more text after that. I did find an article here about it. So it happened in June 4th. We'll just kind of summarize it. US Canadian navies on Saturday were conducting a joint exercise in the strait which separates the island of Taiwan and China when the Chinese ship cut in front of the US guided missile destroyer Chung-Hoon, forcing it to slow down to avoid a collision. The US Indo-Pacific Command said in a statement, the People's Republic of China has claimed self-ruled Taiwan as its territory since the defeated Republic. Yeah, we already know about all that stuff, don't we? We already know about the politics between Taiwan and China. The US Indo-Pacific Command said the Chung-Hoon and Canadian Montreal were conducting a routine transit of the strait when the Chinese ship cut in front of the American vessel. The Chinese ship closest point of approach was 150 yards, and its actions violated the maritime rule of the road of safe passage in international waters. The Chinese embassy in Washington did not immediately respond to request for comment. Of course they didn't. The maritime encounter was the latest close call between Chinese and US military on the May 26th. A Chinese fighter jet. Yeah, we watched that video if you haven't already, where the Chinese fighter jet gets close to the US one, which is already a joke in itself. yeah, there's not much to say about that, but the whole situation is just very silly, I would say, by China, but also very dangerous, right? At the end of the day, what would happen if these two collided, right? Firstly, there's two ships there. There's the Canadian one, which are allies with the US. The US is part of NATO, so if something bad happened, they would call up NATO straight away. We've seen it done before. It happened with 9/11, right? Something bad happens, NATO gets called up, and allies rally, don't they? That's what would happen here. That's exactly what would happen. Now, I don't know whether a collision would necessarily be... Well, so this is what would happen. China would see it as an act of aggression, and the US would see it as unnecessary silliness. And so the US probably wouldn't react, but China would get aggressive instantly. Like, they're looking for an excuse, aren't they? But my God, could you imagine if it kicked off? Can you imagine if that was a little bit closer? This is international waters, so the US has a right to defend itself, and it would do. And it really would, and it would destroy that thing. Big time. So, I don't know. I'd love to know what you think in the comment section down below. This happened a year ago. I don't know if there's been any more encounters. Let's see. Let's see if there's been any more this year. Let's have a look. I don't see anything. I'm seeing articles about it. China's aggression, regional moves, open doors to the US PACAF. Yeah, I mean, it's probably the usual stuff. But it does make you wonder, like, how many times is the US going to put up with China's unnecessary aggression, which is unnecessary because the US would absolutely destroy them, right? Before they actually do something about it, because it's international waters, right? Here's another Axis of Aggression, September 2024 update. There's a bit of a thing here. But, yeah. I'd have to take time to look through all this and figure out what's going on. But it's getting more tense. I'd love to know what you think in the comment section down below. I know for a fact that if they collided and it was China's fault, because my presumption is the US probably got on comms with them and said, get out the way. This is a routine thing. You're coming into our direction. Please move. And China would either just ignore it or say, no, you're in our way. Move out the way. And the whole thing is just a back and forward of people saying, no, you're in my way. No, you're in my way. It's ridiculous. And China would get stomped on. We know what happens if you mess with US boats. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'll leave a link down below to the original video if you want to check it out. Check out Chug. Link down below as well if you haven't already. They're selling like hotcakes. They're selling like crazy, seriously. And check out Morale down below. And until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.